Oh, that looks a bit rude, sorry. Matron. Hello lovelies, how are we? Welcome to the February 2022 episode of the Not Quite Enough Yarn podcast. My name's Leslie. This is a podcast about all the yarny things, knitting, spinning, crochet, you name it. I'll probably have a go at it at some point. Recorded on the south coast of the UK. Whether you're a new viewer or you're back for more, welcome and thank you for being here. Hope everyone's well. Thank you for all the comments on last month's podcast. Always great to hear from you. For those who haven't been here before, it's called the Not Quite Enough Yarn podcast because I very rarely have enough for a whole item. So I've got a lot of yarn and usually there's not a sweater quantity of any one thing. So I end up combining, as you will see. So this is the Ocean Shore cardigan, which is a drops pattern, and I made it from some grey boucle that I had. I got in a cone, picked it up second hand, so I can't tell you what it is, but the fabulous colours are all Noro. So it's just a way of combining the two to make something lovely, hopefully. Well, I like it. I record vlog style, so I do bits and pieces as I go along, and then I put them all together and post on the last weekend of the month. Anytime I'm wearing a hand knit, you'll see details in the notes below. So hopefully that will link to everything that you may be curious about. But if there's a link missing, please do get in touch and say, "Oi, Les, link," and I'll provide it. So on all the social medias, I'm also known as Knitting or Death. That's partly because it's an Eddie Izzard reference and partly because my day job is as a funeral celebrant, so knitting or death are pretty much the two things I talk about most of the time. And to my friends, I apologise. No. I'm going to start off with an FO, or as I'm now calling it, a faux. I don't know why. So this is a cowl that I made from some yarn that I was given. You'll come to realise, if you're a regular viewer, that although I'm not actually buying any yarn or much yarn, I'm buying if I need it to finish a project. But yarn comes my way, which makes it sound like I steal it. I don't. It's all legitimately got. And this was some yarn that was given to me. It was part of basically someone's stash that was given to me. And there were two balls of this yarn, and I'm going to put some pictures here of the yarn itself. This is no, it's not Honda Melody, it's Wendy Melody. Many years ago, I had a little moped, which was a Honda Melody, and that's why I keep thinking Honda Melody, not Wendy Melody. Yes. Anyway, this is Wendy Melody. It's a discontinued yarn now. I was given a couple of balls of it, and as you'll see from these photos, it's a novelty yarn. It's not a sort of standard plied construction or single construction. It's shown, it's categorised as a bulky weight, and it's one of those yarns that's kind of hard to put other things with. I mean, you can do it, but I didn't have anything else in the stash that would go with this. But I had 130 metres of it in the two balls, so I thought I would make a cowl. I used the recommended needle size, which was 8mm. Please don't ask me how many stitches I cast on, because I didn't write it down and I can't remember. Sorry. So I just cast it on, a couple of rows of garter just to stop curling. When I got to the other end, I did one row knit, one purl, one row knit, again just to stop it curling. And here it is. So the yarn is 30% acrylic, 29% nylon, 21% polyester, 20% wool. It's in the Rhumba colourway, and I'm rather pleased with it. It's a funny sort of texture. I mean, it shines beautifully. If I were wearing this on an evening out, it would pick up any lights in a rather lovely way. It's not as scratchy as it would look, but it's not that soft either. It's yeah, it's fine. It's perfectly comfortable to wear, you know, around the neck, which is a good job as I haven't made a cowl. But yeah, it was a good way to use the yarn, so I'm happy with it. I think it's something that I'll get a lot of use of, because although it's got these brighter oranges in it, and yellows and golds and goodness knows what else, it's not too in your face, so I think it's something that I will use often. Not that I'm afraid of bright colours, as regular viewers will know, but sometimes I have to just tone it down a bit. In fact, that's been said to me about most areas of my life. Anyway, moving on. Big thank you to all of the make-along winners who very quickly claimed their prizes. Sorry to the rest of you, it means I'm not redrawing because they've all gone out in the post. So that was last year's make-along, which was co-hosted with the wonderful Kellyanne of Yarn Tales by the Sea. She is hosting another year-long make-along. She is doing a stash make-along. So if you're using up from stash, e.g., have a look at her podcast. It's linked below. Join her group on Ravelry if you're a Ravelry user. If not, she'll give you email details for sending entries to her that way. And by all means, join in. She'd love to have you there. Yeah, so she's doing a stash mail this year. I am not doing a make-along right at this minute. I'm thinking of giving it a couple of months, because I've done a year-long make-along for kind of 3 years. So I'm just having a little bit of a moment of pause so that I can think about what I'd like to do. I've got an idea floating around, but that would work better in a couple of months' time. So there will be make-alongs, just not this month. So I am going to give away some Fibre later, but I haven't sorted all that out yet, so I'll do that later. You'll see it before the end of the podcast, I promise. So I have been the recipient of vast generosity this month. Sorry, this opening section isn't normally this long, but I've got lots to show you, so buckle up, it's a long ride. So first of all, the wonderful Peggy, who is a wonderful human being, and I had the chance of meeting her virtually. Barbara from the Flame and Fibre podcast hosts a Zoom meeting every month, and Peggy is also a regular on that. And she very kindly got in touch with me and said she wanted to send me something. And I've got one here for me, one on the floor. Is there anything that I don't drop on the floor? I'd lose my head if it wasn't attached. So what she has very kindly sent are row counters. And she made these, and they are so pretty. So there are two that she sent me. One for larger needles and one for smaller needles. And she also has a little note in the bag of the YouTube channel to go on to see how to use these. But they are so pretty. Peggy, thank you so much. You are a far better jewellery maker than I am, looking at the way you've joined these pieces, and very kind and very talented, so thank you. So I have one to keep and one to give away. I have a prize box which is rapidly getting filled, as you're about to see. So when I do the make along later in the year, I already have prizes for it, which is a lovely thing. So thank you, Peggy. Thanks also to Sarah, who got in touch, and she won a prize from one of the make-alongs a while ago. She's now moving house, hadn't used the prize, so asked if I wanted to offer it to someone else, which is very generous. And in conversation, she said, a couple of other things, because she's going through her stash. And also, would I like some sari silk fibre to spin? I said, oh yes, please, because that would be a new fibre for me. So that's very exciting. Well, I got this huge parcel with a note saying, keep what you like and give the rest away. That's dangerous words, but I am going to do that. And I'm going to show you what she sent because she was incredibly generous. So, I'm going to start off with the one I'm keeping. Thank you, Sarah. This is so pretty. There used to be a game show in the UK that the kind of catchphrase from it was "look at what you could have won," because you'd get this couple that you know, failed to win the big prize, but they'd bring it out to show it anyway, and it would be like a car or a motorboat or something. So this is "look at what you could have won." This is the one I'm keeping. So thank you, Sarah. This is from Viking Hand Dyed Yarns. It's MCN sock 80-10-10 in the Interstellar colourway, and isn't that just so pretty? And it's beautifully soft as well. So we've got these lovely lilac, sort of lilac-y pinks, pale greens, speckles. Oh, it's so pretty. But there are the yarns that will go in the prize box for you lovelies as well. So we've got Sheep on Mars, and this is 75% superwash merino, 25% silk, and this lovely pale grey. And we also have from Fondant Fibre, name I don't know, hand dyed in the High Peaks in England. This is the Hardy High Twist, so it's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, in the Duck 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 colourway. Me neither. I'm guessing it's a bird call, but I could be wrong. But beautiful dark grey and purple in there. So just a huge thank you. So these will go in the prize box. So onto the sari silk fibre. I was expecting a smidgen. That is more than a smidgen. So you can see the colours in there. So when I do a spinning fibre, a spinning giveaway later in the month, a fibre giveaway, some of this will be in it. I'm going to basically split it in half, and some will go to a lucky winner. And yes, isn't that just... I mean, I wish this was Touch-O-Vision, which sounds really dodgy and is probably a niche website somewhere. But it just feels, as you would expect, it's silk, so it feels beautiful. So I'm looking forward to spinning this. Talking of spun things, Sarah then also sent this wonderful scarf made from her handspun, woven from her handspun, and I was impressed and inspired by this because I haven't been brave enough to weave any of my handspun. The tension needed on the warp, I'm scared that my handspun isn't strong enough basically, and that it will just snap. It has been suggested that I warp the loom with commercial yarn and then just do the weft as handspun, which is certainly an option. But how gorgeous and fabulous is this? So Sarah, again, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. There are so many things there. There is so much that you've given. So thank you for your kindness and your generosity. I really do appreciate it. And I hope that the packing and the move goes well and smoothly for you. So I shall keep everything crossed for that. Whilst we're on the subject of spinning, I have some spinning what I have done. This is some fibre that I got a couple of Christmases ago. It's from Countess Ablaze, who I think I should call this episode discontinued because she's not dying anymore. She's moved on to other things, which is a real shame for the knitting community, but good for her. So this is 90% merino, 10% sparkly stuff, Firestar, called Geeks Like Rainbows Too. And I talked about this on the weekly vlog that I do, because I feel as if I've absolutely spun the colour out of this. I'm going to put a picture here of what the fibre looks like, or, you know, a little sort of snippet picture. And you can see it has lots of different colours. Well, my yarn also has lots of different colours. Showing up a little bit more pink here, but that's probably more accurate for colour. But I want to get close to show you that there are colours in there. But I feel as if I've spun some mud. Sparkly mud with colours in, but mud. It's a learning experience. I could have done things differently. It was when I got to this is a 3-ply. I spun 3 bobbins to then ply them all together. When I got to the 3rd one, I thought I could be doing this differently. And so I started at that point to separate the colours more as I was drafting for the spinning, which has helped, I think, with some of the sort of barber pole looking. I'm trying to find a bit, there's some green there. So I did sort of separate some of the colours at that point to help give a bit more intensity to the colour. But it's a learning experience, and another time I was looking at fibre like that, I would think more before I started spinning. All I did was I split it into 3 by weight. Not very well, as I'll explain in a moment. Whereas in future I might think, okay, how do I want this to be? Do I want to spin it kind of, split it rather, so that I've got more intense stripes of colour that then become part of the yarn. A learning experience. I'm not unhappy with the yarn. I just feel it's not as vibrant as it could be. I'm looking forward to knitting it. It's come out as a sort of DK weight. I've got just under 200 metres of it. It's the way I spin, it's sort of worsted style, so it's quite dense. Not as squishy as it perhaps looks. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Probably another cowl, because that seems to work for me at the moment as a nice simple, let's keep making these project. So yes, I've got just under 200 metres of it, and I am really looking forward to see what it's like to knit with. And it has been suggested that I weave with this as well, which I can see the appeal of, but I'm kind of wanting to play with it with needles, I think. So this will be knitted at some point, and we'll see how it turns out. And I'm hoping that it will be, well, it's not going to be that much different to how it looks here, but hopefully the little pops of colour will come through. What else am I going to say about this? Oh yes, 3-ply, yes. So I didn't split it by weight terribly well. And when I was doing one of the bobbins, I thought there's a lot more here than there are on the others. What have I done? Can't add up. This is not unheard of. So I plied it in a classic 3-ply, so I've got 3 bobbins, 3 plies, all plied together, using my new Woollee Winder. I'll put some footage in after I've spoken about this yarn to show you it, because I was very excited by having a Woollee Winder, and the name makes me smile. So yes, I plied it as a traditional 3-ply. 2 of the bobbins used up within a few metres of each other, and I have another bobbin that I'm putting all my kind of odd single bits on, but there was a lot left on the 3rd one. So I then thought this is an opportunity to practice my chain plying, so that you then have a 3-ply from a single thread. Apologies if you're not a spinner and you've dozed off. Time to wake up now. Lovely. But this is the yarn that I've created. So it's been a very good exercise in terms of fibre preparation, in terms of practicing my chain plying, in terms of thinking about what I can create with the fibre that I have. Like I say, I'm not unhappy with it. I just feel it could be more vibrant. But as I said with the other cowl, subtle is sometimes a good idea and not a commonplace thing for me. So it probably is a good balance. So Hello lovelies, how are we? Well, last month I showed you my drawers. This month I'm getting my Woollee Winder out. Don't ask me why I find it funny, it's because I'm mentally 12 and this we know, but this is a Woollee Winder. I bought this a few months ago with some birthday money, and the idea is that as you spin, or in my case I'm going to do some plying, the yarn will move up and down the bobbin. So I'm imagining that it will wind a bit like, you know, when you're putting thread onto a bobbin on a sewing machine and it just goes up and down. I'm hoping it will do that. I've never tried it. So it's got this cog at the bottom, and I'm hoping that will do the trick. Not used it before. I've got 3 bobbins of singles that I've spun from some Countess Ablaze fibre. So I'm going to make a 3-ply yarn. Wish me luck. Cheers. Right, I think I've shown you before my homemade Lazy Kate. So I'll put 2 of the bobbins here, and the 3rd can stay on its thing on the wheel, on its little spindly thing. Okay, I wondered why it wasn't pulling through and onto the bobbin. It's because I didn't have the brake on. Does help, doesn't it? Then himself, my beloved, went away for a couple of days, and he doesn't do this every time, but he does sometimes buy me yarn when he's away. He went to Norwich. He went for a football match, nothing too exciting, especially as it was a 1-1 draw, but anyway. He went for a football match and he was there for a couple of days because the match date had got changed and hotels, and so he's there with a mate. And he's been out with this mate before, and he kind of parks the mate in a pub and then goes to the nearest yarn shop. As long as they're all happy, I'm fine with that. So he went to, did I write it down? No, I think it's called Norwich Yarn. I think that's what it's called. I'll try and link it below. It's fairly central in Norwich, and they have their own yarn base, their own yarns rather, which are Dragonfly dyes, hand dyed in Norfolk. Isn't that pretty? So this is Belle, Laine High Twist 4-ply, 80% superwash BFL, 20% polyamide, 365 meters per 100 grams in the Ariel colourway. He knows me so well. That is just a gorgeous, fabulous colour. So, very happy to receive that. He also got me some fibre. They do fibre as well. And he actually got me 2 colours that could almost make this yarn. Oh, that looks a bit rude, sorry. Matron. Yes. So, oh dear. Yes. So you've got me 2 lots of fibre. I'm not sure what they are. I've had a look on their website. I think these are BFL as well. They don't feel like Merino, and looking on their website, the Merino colours are more pastel, a bit softer. These are very vibrant. But I could be completely wrong. Either way, don't really mind. I will happily spin them. Whether I'll ply them together or whether I'll treat them separately or whether I'll use them to make rolags with some other fibre I've got, I don't know. They're going to marinate in the fibre bags for a little while until I work out what I'd like to do with them. But yes, I'm feeling very spoiled. And that's not all. That is all the fibre. But I was having a bit of a sort out of this room, which I do periodically. I mean, clearly not very effectively, but I do periodically. And I felt a bit embarrassed. My birthday was a few months ago, and a friend had given me some book tokens, which I had clipped up onto a wall next to me so I'd know where they were. Obviously clipped something else in front of them and completely forgot about them. Which is very ungrateful and ungracious of me. But I have now found them and spent them. So thank you to that person. Not that they watch this, but thank you to that person. So I bought 2 craft books. And the first is Noro Twisted Stitch Source Book. It's essentially a pattern directory for twisted stitches with a few garment patterns as well. So this is one, that's another. Yeah, there are some very nice patterns in here. But like I say, essentially it's, oh, that's nice. Very elegant. Essentially it's a stitch directory. And I have Noro cable source book, and it is very good. I've used it a few times. It's a really good book to look through and get ideas. This also has lots of gorgeousness in it. So yes, I'm very pleased with this. So we've got, you know, smocking and all sorts in here. So, a lovely book. So there's one with pictures and here's one with words. And I'm grateful to Mars of the Hey Brownberry podcast for talking about this. Not a book I'd heard of until I heard her speak of it. So it's called This Long Thread. It's by Jen Hewitt, and it's a number of interviews and pieces of writing from women of crafters of colour, not necessarily all women, crafters of colour. Oh no, it is women. Sorry, I really should read, shouldn't I? So lots to see in here, lots to read in here. I don't know when I'm going to get the chance to read this. This is the sort of book that I would normally take on holiday and sit by a pool to read. And I don't know when I'm next going to be doing that. But I am very much looking forward to reading it at some point. It's a lovely one to have in the yarn stash. So yes, interesting looking book. So very grateful to that. These are all my things I've been given. Sorry, this is a real kind of indulgent me fest, isn't it? But it's my podcast. It's me I'm probably going to talk about the most. Sorry about that. Spoiler. I am currently working on a few things. I've usually got lots of works in progress on the go. The main one I'm working on is something I hope to get finished this month, which is a little one skein shawl for a friend. So I will show you that later in the month. And yes, we will see how things go as we go along. But thank you very much. See you later. Hello lovelies, how are we? I have a finished object. Tell you more about it when it's blocked. But here it is in its unblocked state. you may notice that things look a bit neater behind me. If you don't worry. I notice these things. It's my room. It should do. I've done a bit of stuff this week, which I'm about to talk you through. Nothing to do with yarn necessarily, but stuff that I've enjoyed doing and feel that there's a benefit from. So here we go. Like a lot of folks, I would like to use what I have, and this bureau belonged to himself's parents. It's a kind of fairly standard 1950s bureau, and I was going to get rid of it and get myself a table for crafting, but then it occurred to me that this would actually make a nice little sewing station. So in here we have fabrics, not very tidily, but you know, it is still me, just because I've smartened things up a bit. We've got other bits and pieces in here, bits of tools, odd zips, and we've got some buttons and embroidery flosses and that sort of thing. If I open it up, you can see it holds my machine, and obviously I'll pull that forward to use it. So this is my sort of sewing area. So it's not as big as a table, but for the stuff that I mostly do, I think it will be big enough. I'm not someone who quilts. I don't need a big kind of long arm setup or anything like that. So that is that. Now this box with the label coming up, these bobbins aren't sewing bobbins. I don't have that many. These are my spinning bobbins. So. And then this I had as a kind of stationery box. But you can see I've got threads, needles. Yeah, it looks messy already, but there we go. Lots of usual bits and pieces that folks who sew and who inherit things from other people accumulate. So that's proven a very useful thing to do. Whilst I was tidying up the office, these are folders of patterns. So these are ones I've pulled out of magazines or printed off. And these are knitting patterns or crochet patterns. And these folders, where they're all differently sized, differently coloured, they were looking very scruffy. And so I got the washi tape out. Yes, Kellyanne, I bought some washi tape. We were having a conversation about it, and I was like, no, I don't need that. But it just gave a sort of bit of uniformity to these folders, which made them look a bit neater, just for the sake of a little bit of tape, dark paper, silver pen and a bit of time. So I'm pleased with how that all looks. Much neater now. Hello lovelies. I said it earlier in the podcast that there would be a giveaway for spinners, and here it is. So I have two lots of gorgeous fibre to give away. Firstly, the purple that you saw from Sarah earlier. I've split it, so there's about half of it here. So there's this bag of sari silk. And also last year, Coral Rose, and I will put the link down below for her shop, very kindly sent me some fibre, including this one, and she said either keep it or give away. Well, she had already been so generous that I really wouldn't feel comfortable keeping it, because I have a lot of her beautiful fibre already, so thank you, Coral. So this is on offer as well. This is 100 grams of Merino. And in terms of the colours, it's fairly accurate, possibly coming a little bright, slightly more subtle than that. But these gorgeous greens into golds, absolutely lovely colours. Feels beautiful because it's merino as well. So we have two lots of fibre, so there will be two prizes. And as you know, I don't make things complicated. So if you're interested in winning either of these, please, if you can just put in a comment down below, either green or purple. So it's green or purple. You and I probably spell fibre differently, so that wouldn't work. So green or purple would be great, thank you. Please do choose between them. Don't comments that say I'd like either, they're not helpful because of the way that the drawing system works. So if you could please, or as I often say to himself, will you please just make a decision? But I wouldn't say that to you, because I haven't been married to you for many, many years. So yes, if you can just say green or purple, and I will do a YouTube comment picker type draw to find the winner for each. So yes, please do choose one or t'other, and just whichever you would like to go. So like I say, we've got the green merino here from Coral Rose Fibres. Her link will be below. She does beautifully coloured fibre, absolutely gorgeous. And this gorgeous sari silk, which was very kindly sent to me from Sarah. So yay for spinners. So please do green or purple below. I think I've probably said it enough times now, even for me. So that would be fabulous. And then I will make a draw based on the comments before the end of next month's podcast. So if you could please put that comment in by the 25th of March 2022. So 25th of March this year. And then I'll make the draw before the next podcast. That would be fab. Thank you very much. Hello lovelies, and welcome to the corner where I do a lot of my crafting, because if I'm watching the TV's over there. If I'm watching podcasts, they're normally set up here, and so in an evening this is where I craft. Talking of podcasts, there are two that I've recently started watching. First is Alice, Soxy Nana Alice, put the link below. Canadian crafter, makes lots of lovely things. And also Liz, the black knitter, who, I'm sorry, I should have mentioned her last month. Yeah, she's been running a make-along for Black History Month in the US, and if you are about to finish a project that is either from a black designer or yarns from a black creator, and you'd like to enter it in the draw, by all means check her out. But I'd say check her out anyway. Very interesting person, lots of lovely makes, and very interested in raising awareness and raising the profile of black makers and black designers. So lots of stuff that you don't always see in other places. So that's Liz, the black knitter. Again, I'll link below. I have a list of podcasts I watch, and I normally say, like, you know, Liz, the black knitter. So they're in alphabetical order by the name of the person doing the podcast. I think I've got it that way, yes. So why am I in this corner? Well, no reason why not. I'm going to show you 3 whips. I've got a 4th upstairs, which I'll show you when I go back upstairs. These are all crochet, which is a bit unusual, but so I'm going to start with the biggest one. Now, a couple of years ago, I conducted a funeral for a family member of someone I know, and when that happens, I don't charge a fee. And this lovely person, knowing that I'm a crafter, she is also a crafter, got me a kit for an Attic 24 blanket. And I was very excited by this because we see lots of people making these blankets and they look fabulous. But it's not something I would ever have bought myself because it's a lot of yarn in one hit, and it's all the same type of yarn, and it's a lot for all one project. And as we know, that's not how I buy yarn as a rule. So I was very excited to get this kit. I started the blanket and I really wasn't enjoying it, and that was a real shame. And there's nothing wrong with the pattern. I think the lady's name at Attic 24 is Lucy, and her patterns are really well written, really clearly written. Everything is there for you. It's just how I do crochet blankets, and they are mindless things for me. They're things I just sit and go round and round, keep my legs warm as it grows and sits on my legs. And the pattern from Lucy required more thinking than I wanted to give for that type of project. And by thinking, I only mean, you know, working out which yarn you're using next and how many rows you're doing, but that's not what I do crochet blankets for. I'm not sure quite what this says about me. I still wanted to make a blanket, not least because the lady who had given me the kit wanted me to make a blanket and said, when you curl up under it, you can think of the person we'd done the funeral for, which I thought was such a lovely idea. So I thought, well, I will still make a blanket, but I will make a different blanket. In the meantime, I used some of the yarn to make the mosaic crochet bath mat that I showed you last month, because the kit is King Cowl Cottonsoft DK, so it's 100% cotton yarns. So that was perfect for the bath mat, but it's also making a lovely blanket. So what I've done, more or less, is sort of rainbowed the yarn. I've put it into as close a rainbow spectrum as I can, and I'm making the Which Way Filet, or Which Way Filet blanket, which I will link below. It's a YouTube video, really simple. Once you've got the first couple of rows established, you don't have to think about it. You have to count to 6 as you're going along, but that's as complicated as it gets. So I will stop talking and show you it thus far. Now I realised that I missed out a colour, because there is a dark purple that would have gone kind of between these two. But I'm not going to worry about that, because I love the way these colours kind of fade into each other. And I think the dark purple would have been quite a definite jarring action. So it was a mistake on my part, but it's one I'm more than happy to live with. So I have a couple more colours to go. I have a sort of mint tea, a light aqua mint sort of colour, then a pale green, and then more of a light sage. So it will go from the dark pink to the light sage and outwards. And I'm really enjoying it. I do like this pattern. I always used to make granny square blankets when I was making any kind of blanket, but I do like this one. I like the way the lines go. So yes, that's coming along nicely. I tend to work on this in colder weather, because it is a bit warm otherwise, but all going fine and dandy. So I'm feeling quite enthusiastic to kind of get cracking on this. I don't want to leave it sitting in its box for another summer. I would like to get it finished before the weather warms too much, and then be able to use it when the weather cools again. So that's project number 1. Project number 2 is a rework. This is my crochet boxy. Now, viewers who've been around a while will know that last year I took Joji Locatelli's knitted pattern for the boxy sweater and made a crochet version, which was rainbow striped, using a rainbow gradient set from Stranded Dye Works. If I remember, I'll stick a picture in here. That was the kind of the prototype, if you like. I mean, the boxy is a simple shape, which is why it works well for translation into another craft. So that was why that was a good choice for that kind of exercise. I then decided I wanted to do another, and I may have shown you this in an earlier stage, using lace weight yarns but holding them double to give the equivalent of a 4-ply or fingering weight yarn. I was working away and I kept thinking, this is really big, this is really big. But I'd done a gauge swatch. We know they lie. But yes, it was coming up really big, and it was as I was showing someone after a Zoom meeting, and I said, well, you know, this is where it is. And it was when I held it up to myself kind of here rather than here, I realised just how big it is. Now, I like floaty things, and the person I was talking to said, yes, it is big, but I think you can, you know, you'll carry it well. But I realised that I was kind of slowing down on the making, And when I'm resisting like that, when I'm just not wanting to do stuff, and it's because I'm just resisting, it's not because I really want to work on something else or give priority to something else, then that needs to be thought about, because it may just be I'm a bit sick of it. If it's a large project, you think, oh, fed up with looking at this colour, I just need a break. But it might be, this isn't going the way I want, so I need to do something different. So I decided to take it back. So after that person very kindly saying, you know, you'll carry it well, and after me thinking, I do like floaty things, I just thought, no, it's too big. It's just going to be tent-like. The sleeves won't start till about elbow, and no, it's not what I want to do. So I've taken it back and restarted. I'm not sure how well the stripes are going to show because of the light. But what I've got here are two different yarns. This is from Lamington Lass. This is a dark, sort of winey purple sort of colour. And then I've got a navy here, which I think came from Insane Jelly. I'm striping those, and then I have lighter colours to add in later, including a variegated one. So yes, I've restarted that. At the moment I'm just going round and round in trebles, UK terminology, doubles, US terminology, and that will go for quite some time, and then you split for the sleeves and do the neck. So I'm kind of working between the blanket and the boxy at the moment. I do have one other crochet project which I started as part of the New to You Mal, which was hosted in the main by the folks who present cocktail hours at the Coop, but a lot of other podcasters were involved, sponsoring prizes, promoting it, encouraging people to try something new. And here is, what have I done with it? Here it is. Now this is something that I saw on Pinterest a long time ago, and I thought it looked interesting. I had been given this cone of basically t-shirt yarn. It's remnants from the textile industry, but it is stretchy t-shirt yarn. And so in theory one could make it oneself out of old t-shirts, although I was given this, so this is what I'm using. And it also uses a double-ended crochet hook. And it produces this pattern. I'm going to try and record a little bit of footage so that you can see it happening. You don't actually need a double-ended crochet hook, but you'll see when I demonstrate it with and without that makes it a lot easier. And of course, from my point of view, it meant a crafting tool. We know I like a crafting gadget. So all I'm making is a little bag. I did buy a pattern, which I will link below, which gives full instructions. I'd seen this on a video, like I say, on Pinterest, but someone had made a pattern and I thought I wanted to offer a little bit of support, so I printed that pattern off. But I'm not following it because theirs is for a bag, and it's for a sort of a kind of long, not very deep bag, whereas I wanted something that would be a basket that I could have next to my chair with yarn in for when I'm crafting. So that's what we've got at the moment. I will very shortly record the footage of working this stitch so that you can see it, and then I will show you the fourth work in progress, which is knitted. Who knew? Right, so it's quite a simple pattern. You work into the next gap as if you're doing a double crochet, UK. Put it back through, and then you slide the hook to bring the second stitch through the first, then make a chain and repeat. hopefully a little more dexterously than I'm currently doing, because I'm sitting at a peculiar angle because of trying to demonstrate it. Now, I've not tried this with regular plied yarn. It works pretty well with this stuff, and everything I've seen shows it with some kind of t-shirt yarn like this or a tape yarn, and I think it holds itself well doing that. Now, it is possible to do this stitch with a regular crochet hook, and all you need to do is pick up that stitch as before, then take the hook out and go in the other way, to make the stitch. So again, so you go in, pick up a loop, take them both out of the, take the hook out of both of them, which is possibly why it works well with this type of yarn better, because it just kind of stays there, doesn't slip all over the place. And then you carry on. Hello lovelies, I brought you upstairs with me. And I will show you the last work in progress, which is the knitted one. And this is the Catty-Corner by Nicola Susen, which I did not put a stitch marker on to show you where I was last time, so that is not helpful. One thing I do know is I unpicked the I-cord bind off. I didn't like the way that it was rolling. I'm going to do a different type of neck, so I've reused the I-cord bind off yarn in the body, so we have a little narrow grey stripe, and that was the I-cord bind off. This is the back. Oh goodness me. So this is the sweater. I will, once I've got the neck on it, work out how to hold it up. It is a very unusual pattern construction, which is why it's quite hard to kind of hold up in a way that makes sense. But you can see that I've done the sleeves. I knew that I was going to have, wait for it, not quite enough yarn, and so I wanted to do the sleeves so that the body can be slightly different and it will be fine. I wanted the sleeves to be similar to each other. I won't say matching because, well, they don't, but I wanted them to be fraternal twins. The main yarn that I've used is a serder yarn called Candy Stripe. It's in their licorice colourway, so it's the grey, black and other grey. I was getting a little bored when I was getting ready to split for the sleeves. The rows were just so long. I was, oh. So I put in a few other bits of colour interest, and I may do something similar near the waist, just to kind of balance it. Or I might not, who knows. I'm now using some other yarn, Debbie Bliss Rialto, and I've got that in plain black, so the bottom of the sweater will be plain black unless I put in a few of these narrow stripes. I'm enjoying this very much. I'm just on the knit round and round stage, and I'm at the stage where I'd quite like to get it finished, so I'm doing this while I am on Zoom calls, while I check ceremonies. I'm knitting this quite a bit, so hopefully it won't take too long, but who knows, because something else shinier may come into my sights. I've got a couple of finished objects to show you, and the first, actually I'll do this one first. This is a very simple cowl, as you can see, which has pulled, or flashed even, in quite a striking way. Very simple, quite snug. Can't remember how many stitches I cast on. I think it was probably about 100. Double knitting weight, a few rows of knit one, purl one, then plain knit, just to give a bit of edging, and the rest I thought I'd let the colours do the trick, because I love this yarn. Now, I've mentioned this yarn before because I have used it many times, and I do love the, well, of course I love the colours in this yarn. I mean, look at them. They've got my name all over them, really, haven't they? It was a large skein, I think it was about 300 grams, that I bought at Alexandra Palace a few years ago. Wish I'd bought 2, but didn't. But I have made good use, I feel, of the one that I have, because this yarn has been used widely. So it's been used for weaving, made a scarf with it. It's been used for crochet. It was part of a jacket for my great niece. It's been used in entrelac knitting. This was a hat I made earlier this year, I think. It's even been used in petit point. I don't do cross stitch, I only do half a job. I'm looking up because the picture that I'm showing you on screen is there. So it has been well used, and I didn't quite use all of it, because what I've done is I've left just a little to put into my advent for the end of this year. So that will be the last of this use. So every last inch will have been used of it, because I am very fond of it. It's an acrylic yarn. It's a very soft acrylic yarn. Lovely feel to it. Yeah, just really nice. And I'm a little sad that I've used it all, but I'm glad that it's been used, if that makes sense. So that's the first project. This cowl used about 140 metres of yarn altogether, roughly. And just, as I showed you, a sort of snug fitting yarn. The other finished object I have is the shawl that I said last month I would make. A friend of mine has got a birthday with a 0 coming up. She's invited us to a quite posh restaurant for lunch. I might have to wear a frock and brush my hair and have makeup on and everything. And I thought it would be nice to make a gift. And I was debating this with some knitting friends, because knitters like shawls. People who don't knit don't necessarily feel the same way about shawls, because they feel they're a little old-fashioned and what have you. I mean, they can wear them bandana style and that. But I thought, I couldn't see a pattern for a scarf that I particularly liked, so I thought, well, I'll make a kind of shawlette, but quite a shallow one, so that it doesn't feel like an old lady shawl. And I know that's, you know, but you know what I mean, I hope. So I have made this pattern. Let me show you it. And it's blocked out a good size. So this pattern is Edulis, or Edulis. It's a Latin word, so, you know, no one knows how it should have been pronounced in the first place. By Caroline Dick Designs, and it's one I bought the pattern when it came out. I think I saw it promoted on Instagram. I thought, oh, that's nice. Bought the pattern at the time and then didn't do a thing, of course. So I was looking through patterns, and when I'm searching for something to make, I tend to look in my library first, if I'm searching on Ravelry, to see what I've already got. And I had this one. I thought that would work terribly well. And it has. You can see it's quite see-through. You can kind of see a little bit dodgy scene in Titanic, but you know what I mean. And the reason it is so sort of drapey and that sort of slight translucent quality is because it's a 4-ply or fingering weight yarn, but on 4.5mm needles, so gives it that nice open texture. Majority of it is garter stitch. Starts with a tab, garter stitch, and then has a lace bind off basically. So you pick up these stitches and bind them off at the same time. And I'm very pleased with how it's turned out. You saw it being blocked. Until it was blocked, it looked a little bit like a damp dish rag, but it does look like a proper thing now. The yarn is from Wool Kitchen, and it's their Merino silk base, which I think is 50% of each, in the Moon Hopping colourway. So it's this lovely sort of silvery grey with lots of speckles of different colours. And I quite like knitting with speckles because it makes it interesting to work as you glance down and see the stitches. Oh, this one's pink, this one's orange, this one's blue, but the overall effect is still that lovely silvery grey. So I'm hoping that my friend will like this. It used, I wrote down how much it used, 332 metres of the yarn. So I still have that left, which is already earmarked for something else. Just gives a very nice overall effect, and it feels very soft and drapey. Again, the silk in there has helped with that drapey texture. Merino, lovely soft texture to it. So I hope that my friend likes it. She is quite a knit-worthy person. She's a good chap, and she appreciates what goes into something, and is a good egg. So I'm hoping she likes this, and that she won't regret inviting me to the super fancy lunch. Other things this month, the latest pom-pom is out, Pom-Pom Quarterly. Lots of frilly diaphanous stuff this month, which, you know, it's pretty enough. I mean, that's a very nice sweater. Personally, I'd make it without the frill, but that's always an option. And in fact, one of the patterns that they have here, if I can find the picture, you can see this sweater's been made in two different ways. One with a frill around the sleeves and one without. I know which one I'd make. Geared towards Northern Hemisphere summer, obviously, lots of light, floaty, fluffy stuff. I think that one's very pretty. When you see something like that though, I think, do I like that because I like it, or do I just think it's a really nice colour? It could be that. But some nice things in here. And I just like the kind of, the way they put this together. You do feel as if there is a lot of care and thought that goes into it. And even if I never make a pattern, because a lot of these go onto my fantasy queue, the ones I will never make, but I like the idea of, I'm still feel this is a company that I like to support, and I like the way they work. So that's this month's pom-pom. So what else is going on, eh? What else? Oh, we're getting close to the end of my back of an envelope notes. So what does this month hold? Well, I'm going away for a couple of nights with some friends. Very much looking forward to that. Basically, the plan is we stay in a nice place, we drink tea or coffee, knit and chat. That works for me a lot. These are lovely people. Hello, lovely people, because I know you're watching. And, oh, you better be. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing them. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So that's next weekend. And we will laugh a lot. We will also have some quite deep conversations, because we do that as well. But we do laugh a lot. Sometimes gets a bit naughty, but we do laugh a lot. So looking forward to that. Also got some music coming up, although actually that will be after next month's podcast. Yes, so getting out and about a bit. Got that posh lunch. Very fancy. So yes, that birthday celebration for my friend will be coming up as well. So that will be March. This was February. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. If you're interested in being in the draw for that spinning fibre, don't forget to put either green or purple into your comments. That would be great. And I will draw that on the next podcast, so if you can get that in by the 25th of March, that would be appreciated. And I think that's it. We have a sunny day here. I had a sunny day yesterday, which meant it was quite cold, but it was nice to feel that kind of bright sunshine, so that's all good. I hope that the weather is treating you kindly. I hope that the world is treating you kindly. I'm not going to go into a rant about war and Eastern Europe and despotic leaders. You can kind of guess. It's at point of recording, it's very worrying to watch the news, and we have that, you know, I feel I ought to be informed, but I don't actually want to see this. So it's that I don't want to see this is a position of enormous privilege, because of course a lot of people are living through it. So yes, very difficult times. Heart goes out to anyone affected, anyone who has relatives or friends in Ukraine that are worried about them. I just really hope that they are safe. Oh, it's, sorry, a bit of a Debbie Downer at the end again. I'm good at that. I need to work on my structure. No, I hope that everyone is keeping safe and that you're all keeping well. COVID restrictions in the UK, or certainly in England, have lifted completely. Himself and I were at a music concert last night. Very small venue. Couple of hundred people there. 2 people wearing masks. One was called himself. The other was called Les. I was all ready with my arguments, actually, because I have, you know, you have these conversations in your head. I thought if anyone says anything about the fact of wearing a mask, I'm going to start talking about my rights to wear one after all the conversations about people's rights not to. Nothing was said, you know, it was very much a live and let live crowd, which is great. Also, I felt we were in a place of good ventilation because I was cold all evening, which, considering we were at a concert, is unusual, because normally by the time people are up and moving, it warms up. We were by the door, but I had a fleece jacket and I'd taken that off and immediately put it over my shoulders, saying I'm not warm enough to not wear that yet, and kept it over my shoulders the whole evening. So that meant good ventilation coming through as well, so that was good. Very enjoyable concert. I mean, the main thing is actually the music, not all the periphery, but very enjoyable concert. So that was good. It was nice to see some live music. May there be more of it. Himself has got a few coming up, actually. He's going to be away a lot. That happens. So it'll just be me and the dog. So I hope whatever you have planned for March, that you have a good one. Hope you're keeping safe, keeping well, taking care of yourselves. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next Friday for the next vlog, or at the end of March for the podcast. Thanks everyone, take care. Bye bye.